Hello, and welcome to our third webinar in this fantastic series. This is kind of our grand finale of the first three free webinars that we've been offering to you. And we've got something really special planned. First off, we want to say Happy Mother's Day. This is Mother's Day 2015, and it's a special day. And God bless all the mothers out there.
Yes.
And when we thought about this, we decided that the greatest gift we could give to a mother is for them to know that you, their child, is in a happy, harmonious, healthy relationship.
Yes.
So we're going to provide you the absolute keys that we've developed over many, many years to have a great, thriving relationship. I'm Scott Katamas.
And I'm Emily Oram.
And I'm Katrina Valancourt.
And we're all a part of the Love Coach Academy, and we're really excited. And this free webinar, we're going to outline the 7 steps to have a truly great relationship. And this is going to be the roadmap to get you from point A to point Z on how to have a fabulous, amazing, thriving relationship.
Now, we've been doing 2 previous webinars, and many of you were on those webinars. But for anybody who wasn't, Katrina, would you like to give a brief recap of what happened in the first webinar?
Definitely, love to. So in the very first webinar, the first piece we're looking at is that it really only takes one person to shift the dynamic in a relationship. So often people think like, well, if my partner would just do it with me, then we could make the change happen. But we actually looked really clearly at that, and in fact you can make profound change when you commit to this work. So the second piece gives us a clue as to how you can create that really profound change, which is we learn more deeply how to understand the experience of the other person, really getting out of ourselves and being able to listen from a clear space so we can understand what's motivating them, what they might be thinking, how life appears through their eyes and through their hearts. And by deeply getting out of the way and understanding this, we actually have influence in what's happening, because we can really work towards finding solutions that are going to be a natural yes for that person. So that gives us incredible leverage. And then the third key that we looked at, I could say it is the first, is it's really important that we get out of the blaming and shaming game. Anytime that we slip into old habits of making a person wrong outside of ourselves or making ourselves wrong, we're going into creating more pain and more stuckness. And so we have ways that we like to work with this to give you more freedom, to give you more strength in your ability to come to a place of being curious about the world around you and finding a deep acceptance in your own heart, from which, again, greater clarity opens, the heart opens, and love can really flow. So that's what we covered in our first webinar.
Thank you very much, Katrina. And Emily, you want to tell us about what we covered in the last webinar, number 2?
Yes. Webinar was all about transformation, and it's possible through the practice of these tools, and anyone can do it. We found and worked with many couples that were on that webinar, and even a woman that Paul Sterling brought on that had success just by herself with these tools. And these couples had big differences, huge challenges, and through the application of these tools, they were able to get themselves out of relationship disharmony and discord and into harmony and bliss and even deeper intimacy. And they had big challenges, big differences, and through managing them, they were able to grow closer than ever before. And that's what we want for you. And I want to just bring up Maggie's amazing story of her transformation of herself, that her husband left her to be with another woman. And she was devastated, obviously, and she said, wow, what can I do? And she found Paul, and through the application of changing her communication, dropping into compassion for herself, she was able to communicate with her husband overseas, and through the compassion, he decided to leave that woman and come back to her, and now they are married again and happier than ever. So again, we want to let you know that you don't need the other for these tools to really bring so much amazing benefit to your life and to all your relationships. It's been amazing watching how much these tools have benefited my life, and I'm just thriving with an amazing community, amazing partner, and it just keeps getting better. So I'm just wanted to let you know that you can change too, and it's possible through these amazing tools.
Thank you very much. You know, the Love Coach Academy is a collection of amazing relationship teachers and coaches, and all of us are very committed to finding the best tools and practices and then applying them to our own lives. In my case, I was blessed to have an amazing, beautiful marriage where we used these tools. And my wife passed away 3 years ago, and I dedicated myself to giving these tools to as many people as I possibly could, and was traveling all over the world teaching. Then met Emily, and we found this beautiful partnership, and we use these tools every day. Obviously, there's big differences between us, but every day we use these tools, we practice. We're having the most amazing time, the most beautiful relationship. And so what we've done is, by working with Katrina, Paul Sterling, our partner Olivier, who is our moderator, who I'm going to introduce in a moment, and other great coaches, we've looked at it, what does it really take in order to have a great relationship that's happy, healthy, harmonious, where the differences get managed well. And we've outlined 7 critical steps that are necessary, that we've all recognized, oh yeah, that's what needs to happen when we're doing it. And so we've spent months and months and months putting this all together, and we're going to share it with you tonight. You know, it's kind of like building a house. You know, you want to build a house, well, it doesn't just happen. You have to design the house. You have to take into consideration a lot of different pieces, you know, how the electrical system is going to go in collaboration with the foundation and all that sort of thing. Well, it's like that with a great relationship. So we're going to show you how to build a strong foundation and what each step is that's necessary to really have the relationship you've always wanted. Now, if you're single, this is great. It's going to help you to know how to build a great relationship with that next person that you attract. And if you're already in relationship, we're going to go over how to manage maybe some of the habits or patterns you've fallen into that aren't working so well. So stay tuned. We've got a really exciting hour and a half for you. We're going to talk for about 45 minutes or so, kind of go through the basic steps, and then we're going to open up to questions and answers, and to tell you more about how to work with us and how to get the most out of our time together, including using the chat room and even joining us for questions. I want to introduce my beloved best friend and our business partner and the man who makes it all happen, Olivier.
Hey, Scott, thank you. So you know how it works now. You know, you can post your question in the chat room, and you can mark as question if you want to grab our attention with a red question mark for the coaches to answer your specific question. We might try to, after the presentation, we might try for the Q&A to do something a little fancier. Which would be maybe to invite you for live questions. So if you want to ask your question live with your microphone and maybe your webcam, you can just be with your microphone, and if your webcam is working, you can use your webcam. So you should see in the chat room on top a little button saying request to speak. So when you press that button, we see that you are requesting to join us, and we might invite the people, we might invite you one person at a time. And it takes a little process to join us through Google Hangouts validation, or you might have to agree to their terms and conditions. So it takes a few seconds, maybe 20 seconds, to actually join us. But we would love to try that tonight and take live questions. Up to you, Scott.
A couple of other things, and then we're going to introduce Emily and Katrina are going to share a little bit about why they're so passionate about these tools. But since we mentioned the previous webinars, you can go back and watch the previous webinars. And we're going to be sending out an email to all of you, letting you know how you can get the most out of our program and how to watch previous webinars. And we're going to even include a couple of special gifts in those emails, so keep your eye out for that. And before we go into the 7 steps, I just would love to have each of us share briefly why we're so passionate about this. Why are we spending our time on Mother's Day sharing free webinars and free information with you? And start with you, beloved.
Wow, that's a big question. I'm so passionate about these tools. These tools are the language of love. And the language of love builds connection and builds intimacy. And when we build intimacy, we feel deeply felt, we feel seen, and we feel accepted for who we are fully. And I want to be able to help people to have that knowing within themselves, that they're perfect, that even in the hardest circumstances, no matter what they're going through their pain, through their hurt, that there is a way out. And there's a way to even be with that pain in a healthy way with boundaries, but also sharing the experience of whatever's alive. And that to me is just so heart expanding, so heart opening. And through that, through being with whatever's alive, radical shifts happen, radical transformation, and radical healing happens. And that to me just brings my heart joy and bliss. And it just makes me want to do this work all the time, as much as possible.
Oh, thank you for sharing all that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Katrina, would love to hear from you.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, I'm so grateful for the place that all of my relationships are in now, and that I can share these with others. And before these tools, I would say that 2 of my biggest weaknesses, one was that often I would be the doormat. I would want to say yes to everyone around me, and I would do it until I had nothing left. And sometimes in that place of not having anything left, if somebody asked something else for me, I might go into tears or explosion. And it was so much my desire to express my heart, but I didn't know how to do it except for to say, yes, let me see how I can help you, which is a beautiful quality, just not sustainable. I deeply value being able to express myself from my heart, and deeply, deeply value family as well. While I shared on a previous webinar that I got divorced at a young age, it was really painful, and I had a young child at the time of the divorce. I have this amazing experience now, which is that my love connection with my son and his father is in such a sweet place, and we really honor who we are as individuals and who we are to each other. And so there's just a sweetness and a collaboration that I've been able to find by really looking to see what's in my heart and what's valuable, and applying these tools so that I'm no longer a doormat. Instead, my communication can be a doorway that that my ex-husband and his girlfriend and my son can say yes to. And if they say no, then we look for another doorway. I just can't even say how liberating that is, to be able to save what's most precious for me, which is my family, to be able to really have my heart flourish inside of that space, even after the challenges we've gone through. So for me, there's so much more I want to share, but I've really got to keep it brief, so I'll leave it at that. I just excited to empower you all with these tools.
Yay.
Thank you, Katrina. I love you so much. You know, I'm passionate about these tools because I've been around the block. I produced educational television for many years. I won Emmy Awards. I traveled all over the world. I've had a chance to meet many amazing authors, study a lot of different forms, and of all the tools, all the practices I've ever found, this is the combination of science. A lot of the work we do is how to change the neurological pathway of our brain to actually go from that kind of reptile brain reactive place into the frontal lobes, our forebrain, where we can access the empathy center, access the observer part of the brain. It's powerful work.
Yeah.
And also just bringing these tools all over the world. I just recently got back from a trip to Australia and New Zealand. We're going right back to Australia and New Zealand in 2 weeks because people just loved what these tools had to offer. So everywhere in the world, these tools work. I've had the opportunity now to work with about 350 couples and families, over 1,000 individuals, taught over 500 classes, events, and workshops, and she and I have been leading about 2 retreats a month, and people's lives transform. Why? Because life is relationship. Yeah. And so to change our life effectively by changing our relationships, really learning how to be heard, how to express ourselves, how to choose compassion over judgment, how to choose love over fear, how to choose connection over separation. These tools show us how to do it even when we're really triggered. Yeah. Listen, I'm human. I get triggered, and it's embarrassing. I've been teaching this for about 15 years. She's been teaching for like 2, and she's the one usually who says, Scott, time to use the tools. I was like, all right, it's a little whippersnapper, but it's great, and it's so wonderful to have harmony in my life, and even more so, every day I receive anywhere from 5 to 10 on average thank you calls, notes, Facebook messages from couples and families I've worked with saying, thank you. Yeah. We're getting along again. We love each other again. We're making love again. The family is happy. Thank you for these tools.
I even had a client I was sharing with Katrina before the call that was very suicidal. And I was thinking about really referring him out because I was thinking, wow, he really needs some more support. And I want to say that after 4 months, he's thriving, he's happy, he's pulled himself out of the story of being a victim, and really is just, I got a text message today saying how great he's doing and how the dark looming energy or the cloud that was around him, has really left. And so these are the kind of, this is the inspiration and the messages that we get to experience from these tools working and changing people's lives.
So thank you for joining us. And please, we love seeing your comments in the chat room. Now, Emily and I won't have the opportunity to write back because we're kind of tuned into teaching, but we read your comments. And so your comments mean a lot to us. And hopefully Dune is going to be able to get his sound to work. Thank you, Teresa, for your beautiful comments. And I noticed that Janelle asked a question. So when you ask questions, Olivier, our moderator, will keep track of that. And we are going to open it up to questions and answers probably in about 35, 40 minutes. So that being said, I'm going to turn it back over to my dear friend and partner, Katrina, and she's going to start us through the 7 primary steps. And she's going to kind of be our main person showing the steps, and then Emily and I, and also Katrina, are going to comment on how to apply these steps. Take it away, Katrina.
Okay, wonderful. So this is our roadway to just greater love and life and deliciousness. Our first step here is what we call relationship 911. So these are your immediate tools, right? If there's a crisis happening, these are tools that are going to help you to slow down and reduce the conflict that's happening. We want to slow down the escalations. We want to put more space in so that you'll have the opportunity to use new tools. And so included in Relationship 911, we also have our most basic, most essential tools inside of that teaching, so that you can slow things down and immediately start to bring this into practice. Do you want to expand on that, Emily and Scott?
Thank you, Katrina. We're on mute.
Absolutely. Sadly, a lot of the time that people reach out to us, it's already when their relationship engine is smoking or the car is stalled. And so we recognize that. And so if your relationship is already in a lot of turmoil, if it's in a lot of struggle, how perfectly human, as Emily and I like to say. And so we're going to provide you with some critical tools. And the first thing we just want to say right now, slow down. Oftentimes, people that have relationships that are really challenged we call it they're emotionally sunburned. Have you ever been in that situation with somebody, and maybe you're in it right now, where just the slightest look, it's like, what did you mean by that? What's that, you know? It's kind of like being sunburned. You know, when we're sunburned, even if I mean well, hey baby, how are you? It hurts. Ouch.
Right.
And sometimes our relationships are like that. We're so tender. There's been so much pain. There's been so much criticism or blame or shame or judgment that the slightest thing hurts.
Yeah.
So how do you heal a sunburn? With time and patience. So one of the things we want to say about if you are in that tough place, slow down.
Yeah.
Think before you speak. And really just make an agreement with your partner that, listen, I care so much about this relationship and I know we're struggling. Let's really go slow. Let's think before we speak. And if one of us says something that feels like an ouch, let's not react by biting back. Let's just say, that's kind of an ouch. I just need to take care of myself right now. Let's take a little bit of space from each other. Usually, space and slowing down is one example of what can really help when you're in that kind of super painful place.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And then when we have a sunburn, what we want to do is learn to care for it. So a lot of these tools are really bringing the energy back to you. What can you do when you're in turmoil? How can you get yourself out of fight or flight and take care of your body, take care of yourself even through the breath, and bringing, your needs to the forefront. A lot of people, when they're in pain, they're walking on eggshells with their partner.
Yeah.
And so what we want to do is really get them to start caring for themselves and doing what they need to do to be able to move forward in the relationship. I'm really excited about this module. We've spent a few days recording some amazing video footage for you. And these videos are really outlining specific crises. What do you do when there's been infidelity? How do we handle sudden loss? What to do when you're in a relationship with someone that has addiction issues? These are a lot of videos that outline serious crises and what you can do to get yourself into a place of being able to manage that.
We're really excited about getting these videos out to you. We're kind of completing and editing, and so we're going to send you an email that's going to explain all about how you can access these videos.
Yeah.
I was watching Emily record a video about addiction. She's had to deal with a lot of addiction in her life. And I was crying listening to her. And we had a few other people who were here at the house at the time watching. And it just was so inspiring because she lays out very specifically what she had to do and the incredible hero's journey that you've been on. And so, we're excited about sharing these tools with you. And of course, we only have so much time. So kind of giving you some headlines and a couple of quick tools and kind of outlining the main steps for you. And we look forward to providing you with much more substantial steps further down the line.
Yeah.
And I think let's turn it back over to Katrina.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So our step 2 here is the healing power of empathy, right? So once you've been able to slow things down, right, once you've been able to do some of that self-soothing so that you're no longer in that place of crisis, the reptilian brain, as we covered in webinar 1, once we've been able to slow it down and go into self-soothing, this is where the healing really begins to come in. This is the place where we get to tune in and understand ourselves in such a deeper way, understand what's motivating us and what's motivating the other, so that rather than going into old patterns of reaction, we're coming into new patterns of listening and really processing everything that we're experiencing through new questions that are going to really illuminate the situation for you, really help you to understand, what's the next obvious step. And not only that, but going deep into empathy. I'll take away that screen for a moment. Going deep, if I can. Here we go. Video back on. There we go. So it's these moments of really deep, profound empathy. And when I say that, I realize we've kind of given you a taste or pointed you in a direction of what that is in these webinars. It goes deeper. And when, you'll hear in our coaching calls, if you join us for some of those, there's a place that happens deep in empathy where the body is like, it's just relieved. There's this gratitude. Thank you for getting me. And when two people in relationship have that experience together, it's truly magical what happens. I've gone into impossible situations, like it just doesn't seem like anything good is going to come out of a conversation. But the healing power of empathy makes new things possible that were previously entirely unforeseen. So it's a powerful segment.
It is.
Yeah.
We had brunch with some friends of ours today, and one of them was a woman that I had done coaching with, and she had been estranged from her husband. They had a very, very bitter breakup. They hadn't spoken to each other in 2 years. He had a big temper. He had a lot of anger and hurt towards her. And I facilitated them coming back together, actually in this house, about 4 years ago and meeting for the first time in 2 years. And when she arrived at the door, she was shaking. She was so afraid. And I brought them down together. And just by establishing the power of empathy and just guiding them into being in compassion with each other, within a few minutes, they were crying together. And for the next 2 hours, they just hugged and held up and just shared how much they actually really loved each other. Because remember that the pain we have in relationship is almost always in direct proportion to how much love is there and how much love we're missing.
Yes.
Empathy, really accessing our heart and learning how to connect, even when we're scared, triggered, upset, it's a beautiful, amazing ability to change the world. It truly changes the world. And so what are we teaching? The Love Coach Academy is all built on how to really access our empathy center and give compassion to ourselves and to others, and it changes lives radically.
Beautiful, Scott. Really coming out of the fixing and necessarily healing paradigm, we're shifting into empathy, which is really dropping into being with what's alive and what's present. It's like empathy is really the balm that heals the heart and moves us into connection. And I would just love to do just a quick role play to see empathy in action with Scott.
We'll periodically be doing role plays. And when we do our role plays, sometimes it's based on something that's really happening for us. And other times it might be kind of an example of something we've observed with clients. And is this going to be a real one, or is this going to be kind of a...
No, this is a real one.
This is a real one.
It's just coming to me now.
Okay.
It's Mother's Day, and I think your mom obviously passed away, but what I was thinking is your beloved wife passed away just 3.5 years ago. So I was just really feeling just the sadness of the loss that's happened. And of course you have a beautiful spiritual connection to her, but I can just feel inside my heart what it would feel like to just not have the physical presence of your beloved with you. And I'm just imagining sometimes the grief of how much you might miss her, that she's not really here on earth anymore.
I didn't know she was going to do this. Just so you know, this wasn't rehearsed. So, what's beautiful about... I'm trying to pull it together to go into teacher mode. What she demonstrated was imagining my experience and imagining what it's like when you love someone as deeply as I love Suchi and my mom. And so by her imagining what it's like for me, what an incredible connection. It's like we're sharing, in this moment, we're sharing the sadness. She's willing to share the sadness by imagining it with me. Oh, that's an amazing example of empathy, and I really need to turn it over to Katrina and pull it together right now. Thank you.
Well, just a quick thing. I'm noticing that Phyllis has a question that's related to the healing power of empathy. And so, Scott and Emily, I wanted to check in and see if we want to address that now or closer to the end.
Yeah, we could address it now really quick. So
Okay.
Phyllis says, what about a relationship with a person who doesn't seem that way? I'm imagining that seems maybe open-hearted, or I'm kind of going into an assumption there. But how about a person? How about a person who is passive-aggressive or preoccupied? So I just want to say, when there's passive aggressiveness, what it usually is usually stuffed frustration. And so what we want to do is to be able to get curious through the power of curiosity, with really checking in and connecting with that person and asking them what's going on, really from a place of care and curiosity, wanting to really get them and listen with empathy, with compassion, with an open heart, that you really do care about them and want to know what's going on with them.
That's right on. I think the only thing I want to add is that, and it's kind of just to riff on what she said, to do our best to make it safe for that person to be honest. Like she said, passive aggressive is usually, kind of something's in there. There's a resentment or there's a frustration or a hurt. So it comes out in that way. Just to really try to create as safe an environment as possible for there to be honest communication.
And just to be careful with words, like you never would want to go up to someone and say, so I'm noticing that you're being passive aggressive right now, and obviously you're preoccupied with something. So again, what you will learn with these tools is how to come out of judgment and diagnosis and really come into the power of curiosity to find out what's really going on.
It could be as simple as, sometimes I don't know what's going on with you, and I'm really curious. And even if I might not like it, I'd like to know what's really going on for you. Is there something that you'd like to share with me? Notice how I'm making it all about invitation to connect and safety, So anyway, there's always so much, but I think we need to go on to the next.
Okay, wonderful. One last piece I wanted to say on that is we have a number of handouts that we offer inside of our training, just to give deeper illustration or guidance about the various teachings. So one of them has this spiritual quote that's just a really powerful reminder, which is that it's all love, or a call for love. Right? So when somebody's not acting in a way that is demonstrative of love, it's because they're actually in pain, and that's the best that they're able to do. And it really does take a lot to be able to drop again out of the shaming or blaming, and to get really curious to understand what's underneath that. But it definitely transforms passive aggressive or passive behavior. So Phyllis, thank you for the question. And I'm going to put up the next slide here. Let's see. Okay, number 3, communication basics. Right. So this is a 5-step teaching that we do, and communication basics. In some ways, Scott was talking about these tools as building a house. So you could say that the first one has you kind of just stop and go, okay, let's plan. Let's not go on autopilot and just throw a house together. Let's actually plan. The healing power of empathy, you could say, is like clearing the ground, right? It's creating the space so that the house can be built. It's starting to understand each other, so that you're looking at what kind of house you want to build together. And then the communication basics, this is where we're actually starting to build that house together. We're building that relationship. We're working on rewiring the brain, rewiring pathways, so that we can go out of those judging, labeling, blaming habits, and into co-creative problem solving that really stems from the heart, where challenges and differences become an opportunity to find a higher path that's going to work for both of you. So this is really about, let's see, I think did I stop I stop the screen share. This is really about now taking what you've learned and establishing that foundation of love. So yes, step 3, communication basics.
You're so cute, Katrina.
You know, when Katrina and I shot those videos about the communication basics, I was really proud of us because we really do lay it out in a very clear way. And again, what we're doing tonight is we're giving you kind of an introduction to the 7 essential steps. Each one of these steps, we have created a series of videos, worksheets, documents, so that we can really help you to have that great relationship. So that's what we're doing, and recognizing a lot of people that are joining us, you know, kind of midway through our process. So it's just really great to see all the people that are joining from all over the world. Jaguar from New Zealand, and we've got people from England. Maggie from England is with us, and people from all over the country. So keep on giving us notes in the chat room, because we can see that there's a lot of people. We've been averaging a lot of people from all over the world coming in. But it's not until you come in and read a note, we go, oh, wow, Art from San Diego is with us, or Teresa from next door is with us. So we love seeing your comments. And it's funny, there's like for every person that's actually with us, only about 10% of you, or less even, are putting in comments. So we like those comments. Keep them coming in. Let's go to the next step.
All right. Okay, so step 4 is about building emotional intelligence. And, you know, I would say that the inquiry inside of step 4, and this is a wonderful inquiry, is like, how big can love get? Like, how much can we feel in our hearts? How deeply can we feel? How deeply can we share a painful situation in the flow? How deeply can we experience also the ecstatic moments of everyday life? So it's a wonderful exploration to deepen, expand the experience of loving and sharing, which is such a beautiful aspect of what it is to be human. And I really love the point number 3 here on this slide. Discover how emotional intimacy is the greatest aphrodisiac. Goodness, it's incredible. I can say, especially as a woman, where I'm more emotionally centered in my body, when I am able to connect with somebody in a deep and profound way, when I'm able to listen to them in a way that they feel loved or have tears come to their eyes, and when they do that for me, it's like, it's just the bliss of life. And when that happens, my body opens, I feel really alive, and things begin to flow. So again, I love sharing that with all of you guys.
Thank you, Katrina. I'd like to riff on it for a moment. First off, emotional intelligence is cultivated. Yeah. It's not like you're born, with it or not. It's something that can be cultivated. At any age, we can develop the qualities of emotional intelligence. Now, for those of you who are listening who are single, when people are single, they say, Scott, what's the most important thing that I should look for? Look for people that are emotionally intelligent, or at least willing to cultivate emotional intelligence.
Yeah, so important.
And so we want to kind of define what are some of the qualities of emotional intelligence.
Yeah, beautiful. Emotional intelligence is amazing. If I had known it, it could have saved me so many relationships of getting involved with someone that clearly didn't have those muscles developed, nor did they really have the willingness, where I could have said, okay, I know what my values are, it's time for me to move on. One of the things is the ability to self-reflect, so to really look within ourselves and to see, wow, where can I look at my relationship to what's going on? How can I understand what's alive for me? Where is my part in what's going on? Those are all qualities of being able to self-reflect, to take a painful issue and to be able to go, wow, to get curious, to look at it. that is a beautiful quality that can be developed with flexing those muscles.
You know, often at our retreats, we have people do a practice where I'll say, choose 10 relationships in your life. Pick at least 3 or 4 that were successful and 3 or 4 that weren't successful. Not just love relationships, but friendships, business partnerships, roommates that worked out, roommates that didn't work out. So a lot of people make the list. And then we'll go through the qualities of emotional intelligence. And what's remarkable, inevitably the successful relationships were with people where there was emotional intelligence going on. And the unsuccessful relationships where it was chaotic and crazy making were people who just didn't have the ability to listen, or the ability to really show care, or the ability to play fair, to be mutual. So that's why we really emphasize learn about emotional intelligence, learn how to develop it within yourself, and also learn how to suss out quickly where other people that you might be interacting with are at when it comes to those skills.
Beautiful. The one thing I also want to share is a huge part of emotional intelligence is to be able to really take responsibility for our actions, for the ability to see our part in every dynamic. So when there's 2 triggers coming together, there's always your part that you play within that relationship. Even in something that's as painful as, you know, someone that has an affair on, like, let's say Scott had an affair on me, there is my part to look at, looking at my responsibility. I could go into the blame thing, but there's a part that I played in creating that. And that's what we want to do with these tools, is to be able to really get humble and to drop into the ability of self-responsibility. And it's a beautiful quality to develop, and we will help you.
By the way, just for the record, that was an example.
That was an example,
I have not and have no intention of having an affair on this wonderful woman.
It's just the thing that came up in my mind.
I want to acknowledge, Helen, you've asked a great question. Stay tuned. We're going to kind of get through our initial 7 modules, but that's a fantastic question. I look forward to tackling it when we get to our question and answer section. And we'll be doing Q&A in about 10 or 15 minutes max.
Great.
Take it away, Katrina.
All right.
I would just like to just give a little feedback or testimonial from learning those tools. One thing that really helped me with those tools is I take things less personally. When someone is like angry or there's something going on, before I was like, it's my fault, I need to fix it, and I feel uncomfortable, I need to either fly or stop this. You need to change. Now I don't take it personally. I understand that if the person is triggered, if the person is activated, it's probably because they care. They care about the relationship. They care about something I didn't get. So I can ask, I see that you're activated. I see that you're triggered. I believe that it's because you care. So please tell me more. Tell me what it is that you care so much about, that right now you're so angry or so activated. And that's such a game changer. Those tools really help me anchor that.
Wow! Thank you, Olivier.
So I just want to say, for anybody that has a pen and paper right now, is to write that down. When someone that you are in a relationship where you perceive that they're triggered, you could ask them that, wow, I'm seeing that you are activated. That's what I heard Olivier say. I'm imagining there's something, it's because you care. I want to know what it is you care about. That is such reaching toward connection.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, that was brilliant. And thank you. I'm seeing more feedback in the chat room, and I'm really enjoying reading what your comments are, and it's going to help us to shape our Q&A section, which is coming up. And I'm celebrating that John is now watching with his wife after watching by himself the first couple. And we've gotten a lot of feedback like that. People saying, I've got to get my husband to watch this. I got to get my wife. Oh, my God, when's the next one? So
wonderful.
It inspires us.
Yes.
So thank you for your feedback. And Olivier, thank you for sharing that really
beautiful tool. Thank you for that tool.
That's our business partner. That's our guy. That's who I work with. Yes.
And the other thing also is that I can express my desires without being demanding. So I can say, I desire this or that. how does it feel for you? Instead of saying, I want this or I want that. That's also another like great game changer I got from you guys.
You're right, Maggie. That was an epic share that Olivier just gave us.
So we hope you guys replay, write that down if you didn't.
Katrina, you want to take us to the next module?
All right, here we go. Step 5, managing difficult behavior. So in webinar 2, we spoke about managing differences. And of course, differences are inevitable. So looking at how to manage them is very important for having a joyful, yummy relationship. Managing difficult behavior, of course, is with something that is more straining in the relationship. And these things are going to come up sometimes. It's, you know, how perfectly human to have real challenges arise at times. So this segment of our teaching is really learning how to stop the escalation. There's something that we talk about as the misery go round, and we want to slow down or stop the misery go round, preferably not even get on it. And so these are tools about how to manage when things are perhaps feeling a bit over the top or really edgy, so that you're able to honor the emotions that are coming through you, really get clarity about the direction that you're needing to take for yourself, and to communicate it to the other person in a way that still embodies your love and embodies your care, embodies your commitment to the relationship, to the love bond that you share, and also brings light of consciousness to an area that just needs to be managed in a more harmonious way. So that's what this segment is about.
Thank you. A couple of things that we're going to teach you when you work with us is we're going to teach you how to get in touch with your own veils of past pain. Now, one of the things that I've learned is that even people that have a wonderful spiritual practice, people that are very evolved, people that are very advanced, very mature, they can still get triggered like that by a mother-in-law or an ex-wife or a husband. That's what I call an ex-husband. There are any number of ways. And the truth is, all of us have our own unique wounds. Maybe they're childhood wounds, maybe they're wounds from relationships that failed, maybe it's, you know, something where we still have a sunburn, like we talked about earlier. By getting in touch with what our unique veils of past pain are, we can actually learn how to manage our triggers, to know where are we vulnerable, what's my kryptonite, what are the places or the situations where I'm most likely to go into that reptile brain fight, flight, freeze, reaction place. And we're going to support you to learn how to get in touch with that, how to manage it, how to work with it. We also are going to help you to learn how to manage other people when they get triggered, how to recognize, how to talk to someone, how to be present with someone who's really losing it. You know, when we're with someone who's seeing red, there are very specific things you do not want to do, because it's pouring gasoline onto the fire, but there are very wonderful things we're going to teach you in order to put water on that fire to calm it down. So this is a really important part of having great relationships, learning how to manage our own emotional pain, our own triggers, and learning how to support others when they get triggered. Yeah.
This work is really amazing because it develops us to really, helps us to develop really getting to know ourselves in a really deep way, which develops intimacy with ourself. And when we develop intimacy with ourself, we can then be in relationship to move toward that connection with the other. I love this statement that I heard recently, is that triggers are treasures. And triggers that keep coming up usually are always pointing to the past of created what Scott and I like to call holy vows. Like, wow, I will never be like my father. I'm not going to be codependent like my mom. I will never, I will. Those are holy vows. And what happens is until we revisit that conditioning, a lot of times the life will keep bringing you back the same pattern over and over.
Yeah.
And we call that the misery go round. So what we want to do is stop those merry-go-round patterns and turn them into merry-go-rounds, where your triggers are now serving you as treasures, so that they're managed and dealt with care and compassion.
Oh, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And I want to acknowledge, thank you. We're getting more comments in the chat room, and I love that we've got people from Nebraska, from Florida, from Ventura, California, San Diego. Thank you, everybody. One last thing I want to say about managing our pain. If you're single, very often people that are single when they're dating will only talk about the things we have in common. You like dogs? I like dogs too. Wow, you like the color blue? I like the color blue too. Wow, let's go be together. And that's nice. It's nice to find the commonalities. But something we really encourage for our single friends, as well as those of you that are in a relationship, share honestly and vulnerably about your triggers. These are the things that trigger me. These are the things that are vulnerable for me. These are the places that are tender for me.
Yeah.
And see if you're the person you're dating, or the person you're with, or the person that you're exploring connection with, if they're willing to really listen, and if they're willing to share what their vulnerabilities are.
Right.
See, if we can really get in touch with what our vulnerabilities are up front, first of all, that creates emotional intimacy. And emotional intimacy is the great aphrodisiac.
Yeah.
Emotional intimacy is what truly is what creates that quality of connection. So we're not connecting on a fantasy level. Wow, this guy looks like the kind of guy I always wanted to be, or wow, this woman is
really hot.
He's really hot, or this woman at least likes me. But if we can really drop into sharing vulnerably and be met in that place, wow. And that creates the foundation. We're talking about creating a beautiful foundation for the home that we're building. We're building great relationships here. We want it to be on a foundation of connection based on sharing not just what we have in common, not just what's wonderful about me or wonderful about you, but this is what's kind of hard for me. This is what scares me. This is where I struggle. This is where I can get tripped up.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And what Scott's saying, the whole thing, is bringing us, it's called what I call fantasy busting. Most of us are looking for this image or the one, and we have it packaged all up that it looks like this, it looks like that, it looks like that. But what it is it's not real. And so we help people a lot of times get out of that and go into real intimacy, which is sharing in pain, sharing in vulnerability.
Well, we better get on to the next module. There's so much more, God, we can do. Well, that's why we're recording all these videos and creating so much content, because there's so much we want to share with you. But we're going to do it step by step so that you can really integrate it. And to kind of give you a preview of our next module, back to Katrina.
Scott, I love how you bubble over. So step 6, setting boundaries with compassion. This is a beautiful place to go after doing the managing difficult behaviors, because of course, there's times when we need to set boundaries, right? There's people in our world who cross our boundaries to various degrees. Some of them, of course, need something that's more potent in terms of a clarity of a boundary being set than others. Some people, they just need a hint, and they're just so wanting to say yes to you. So there's an art form to being able to set boundaries with compassion. Again, really being able to stay in the heart and really, understanding that the boundary serves the relationship. The boundary is, and these are flexible, fluid. It's not like a boundary set for forever, for life. This is the way it is. But there are times when certain boundaries are appropriate, again, for the harmony of the relationship. And so there's ways that they can be presented that, again, are gentle and in connection with whoever it is you need to set boundaries with, whether, you know, that's your partner, your children, or your coworkers, or you know, somebody you meet at the grocery store. Being able to adjust to each situation is just going to help you have more flow, more grace and ease as you step forward using these tools in life, not just in your primary relationship, but as a way of life. That's our step 6.
Thank you, Katrina. You know, I want to say a couple things about this. We are leaving, and this way of thinking, and the tools that we're sharing with you, our overall philosophy, if you will, is we're leaving the world of right and wrong. We're leaving the world of good and bad. We're leaving the world of make wrong, I'm right, you're wrong. And instead, we're entering this beautiful world of really seeking to understand each other. Now, one of the things that people commonly think is that if I'm being compassionate, I'm going to be taken advantage of. People are going to roll over me. People are going to hurt me. Because there's the idea that if I'm nice, I'm going to get hurt. So I want to really emphasize that setting clear boundaries is something that a lot of the people that are attracted to our work need to learn. Most of the people that are attracted to this want to be more compassionate in their life, and they have at times gotten hurt because they thought, well, if I'm just nice, if I'm just compassionate, then the other person will be compassionate too. Well, that doesn't happen sometimes. So that's why it's really important to develop strong, clear agreements, clear boundaries, and sometimes how to set clear consequences when those boundaries are crossed. And we're going to help you with that. We're going to help you to learn how to get in touch with what's your true integrity. What's your bottom line? What are the agreements that are really who you are? Because when you honor yourself fully, you honor everybody involved. You actually honor the entire universe. And so it's not about being selfish, but it's about being strong within yourself. This is who I am. These are my values. This is my bottom line. These are my boundaries. And when you do that, you create a strength that changes the whole game. And we're going to help you to do that.
Wow, I don't know if I could follow up to that one, Scott. That was really good. But boundaries has been a serious lesson for me. I, again, come from a lot of codependency, so it's been a lot of unwinding because I've been an overgiver. And so I've really sacrificed myself, and so I've had to swing the other way and make a lot of boundaries with people to take my power back and to really learn to love myself. And so boundaries are really saying, hey, I'm important too. This is really what I need right now, and I respect that you might need something else, but I can't give you the quality of care, or I can't give you what you want right now because I need to take care of myself. So there's a way to do boundaries that are still loving, give the other person care and reassurance. So again, we're going to teach you how to make boundaries that are going to be able to still keep the quality of connection while still needing to create the space or the boundary or the limit that you need.
You know what? I'm going to give you one real simple tip. Here's a good one. Anytime you're setting a boundary or saying no, lead with authentic reassurance that you care. You see, often when we hear no or a boundary, our ego turns it into, oh, you don't care about me. But and then sometimes we're so afraid that the other person is going to think we don't care, that we're not honest about our boundary or about saying no. So head it off the pass. I really care about you. Thank you for asking me out. The answer is no, but I really appreciate that you wanted to go out with me. That's really beautiful. Thank you. And I even imagine if you're feeling disappointed or sad, I can understand that because I'm so groovy. Of course you want to go out with me.
Beautiful.
And that's a little bit being playful. But honestly, what we want to do is acknowledge the other person's feelings, even if it's uncomfortable. Acknowledge the other person's disappointment, sadness, or even anger when we set that boundary. You know, for those of you that are parents, this is especially important. You know, we teach you that when you say no to your child, or you say no to, you know, a young person that's in your world, you can still acknowledge their upset, their disappointment, their frustration. The answer is still no. We're going to teach you how to explain why it's a no, how to give that beautiful reassurance and explanation of which of your needs, which of your values you're honoring. So.
That's a beautiful thing to remember. This one line is that when you're saying no to something, you're saying yes to something else. So write that line down. When you're making a boundary, think about what you're saying yes to by saying no to it.
Right.
Beautiful.
So much more to go.
Yes.
But
We have to go to the next
oh my gosh, we're
module.
almost to 7 o'clock. Okay, next module.
Oh, I know, definitely. I'm thinking about the teachings we have on being with no, saying no, and also the teachings we have about. Actually, I'm going to pause that screen share for a moment. Also, the teachings that we have about understanding that consequences are not a form of punishment. So often when we think of setting boundaries and consequences, there's like an old way that we think about that, and so these teachings are going to bring in a new way where setting boundaries is like, it's more of like, I'm a tree, this is where I stand, and so there isn't a punishment coming from a tree. There's an establishment of self and self-care and care for the relationship. So one of the distinctions we get to play with. All right, step 7. So step 7 is the 7 adjustments to create more love in your life. And this is some of Scott's master work that he's shared with all of us. And, again, just amazing to be part of a coaching community, sharing these tools, and not just coaching community, but to have so many clients who become friends also, sharing these understandings, because the 7 adjustments really help you focus your mind and your being on these 7 pieces, that there's habits that we can change. We actually went over some of this in webinar 1. We touched upon it. There's 7 habits that are very, very common to being a human. If you participate in those habits, you're going to be undermining relationships. So we want to go out of those old habits and into the new habits. And so there's some regular teachings that we have, questions that we have that are going to assist you to pause when you notice that you're in one of these habits that undermine relationship, to be able to pause and go, okay, where's my alternative and how do I express that? So this one really is a paradigm shifter. This is something, when you anchor in the 7 adjustments, it, on top of the building emotional intelligence and the healing power of empathy, and it's like that cream on top that just has your relationship go to the next level, and it's going to transform your entire experience of life. So it's, another exciting tool.
The 7 adjustments, it is really kind of my master teaching. And simply what it is recognizing what I learned when I started working with couple after couple, family after family. And even when I'm working with small businesses, nonprofit organizations, the relationships that had become toxic were the relationships were in the culture of the relationship. There was blame, shame, judgment, make wrong, criticism, and well-meaning people, but when they start criticizing each other, I can remember working with nonprofit organizations that had great goals, but they had gotten so critical of each other that the whole culture was toxic. Now here's the thing: if you've fallen into having relationships where there's a lot of blame, shame, judgment, criticism, or make wrong, first of all, sadly, it's very common. And that's not our true nature. It's not our nature to be that way. These are habits that we've picked up. Now, who out there has changed a habit? You all have. Of course you have. Maybe you stopped smoking, or you changed, you recognized that you had a habit that was getting in the way of your ability to take good care of yourself, or take good care of your family, or to really thrive in life. These are also habits. Blame, shame, judgment, criticism are habits. I've worked with so many couples. I'll just choose one example. When we want to change a habit, how do we do that? Well, we go from eating junk food to eating healthy. Maybe we go from smoking cigarettes to practicing yoga. Maybe we go from hanging out with people that want to get high all the time to hanging out with people that have a real clear purpose, or are more service-oriented. Now, in some of those examples I'm giving, I'm not making any judgment about that. So for any of you that might smoke or eat junk food, I don't mean that in a judgmental way. I'm using common examples that most of us can relate to.
Discernment of choosing something that's more life-affirming or life-giving.
Exactly. And so in the 7 adjustments, we're going to give you examples, because if we're going to give up one habit, we usually need to replace it with a different way of being. So one simple example is from criticism to appreciation. You know, criticism is never, ever effective. When we are criticized, the mind shuts down, it contracts. It is tragic how many intelligent children, all it takes is one authority figure once to tell the child, what's wrong with you? You just are bad at math. What's wrong with you? You just can't throw a baseball. And the next thing you know, that child will have a block to throwing a baseball or a block to math for the rest of their life. It's the same thing as adults. We don't want to ever criticize. What we want to learn is how to make our point through appreciation, because when we receive appreciation, our mind gets excited. Our mind opens. Our little receptor cells get all excited. And so just learning that by expressing ourselves through appreciation instead of criticism, we are so much more effective at actually conveying what we want to convey. And so we're going to help you how to make those adjustments so that the way that you're listening, the way that you're expressing is creating connection as opposed to separation.
Beautiful.
And breaking those habits that have destroyed relationship. And one last thing I want to say is I've gone into families where they were really anchored into a lot of these habits, but when they realized, these are just habits. They don't have to be the way that we are. They're just habits we've fallen into. And as we help change the habits, all of a sudden hope comes back, love comes back, care comes back. And it's been beautiful to watch families go from toxicity back into harmony. And that's what the 7 adjustments really helps us to do in very practical ways.
Beautiful. Yay. So I'm just wanting to say that it's all perfectly human to be stuck in some of these red words. A lot of times what happens is that we think there's something wrong with us that we judge. And so we become judgmental, that we have judgments. And so what I just want to say is it's all perfectly human. We've all picked up these habits along the way, and we consistently are all working. This is a practice, again, in the Love Coach Academy of when we go into judgment, when we go into make wrong. It's really a practice that is a dedication, just like, you know, cooking. You need to learn to look for new recipes and cook in order to become an awesome chef. These are tools that need to be worked regularly to move toward having greater connection in your life.
Yay. Olivier, would you like to add anything to the 7 adjustments? Anything you'd like to say about that?
I'm actually sharing them on screen because I mean, definitely I'm trying to remember that list, and definitely willingness, curiosity, compassion, acceptance, understanding, reassurance, and appreciations are things I'm really trying to remember all the time. And choosing partners, definitely willingness and curiosity is something I really look for, and care, but also gentleness. So definitely, I'm very shame and blame can really trigger me. I tend to want to hide or take off, and definitely thinking of curiosity, thinking of willingness, and first of all, it's like it helps me understand my partner and really be able myself to speak in feelings instead of saying or trying to say directly, jumping into strategies. You know, instead of saying I want this, then I would go into feelings. I would speak in feelings. So I would say I feel this way, and I'm thinking of doing this as a strategy. How do you feel about it? So then we can find win-win solutions instead of one imposing his way.
Thank you, Olivier.
You know, I just as a practice, because I want to engage the chat room, Scott talked about moving from criticism to appreciation. So I'd love for people to open in vulnerability if you feel the desire to share a painful criticism that you've received, maybe from the past, maybe in a relationship, and then be able to just kind of drop in, give yourself some empathy, acknowledge how that felt or how that feels in present time, and then be able to go, can I give myself some appreciation? How can I give myself appreciation for this very thing that I got criticized for?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm really appreciating our dear friend Art down in San Diego just wrote something like that. I found it's important to treat myself this way, even when others don't.
yes.
You know, and
And it's where I'm just reminded that this is an inside job. So a lot of times when we're, it's not just about outward criticism. A lot of times we're stuck in a lot of negative self-talk where we're putting ourselves down consistently, and a lot of us are not even aware that we're doing that. And that's where we want to build consciousness to get curious about what you might be telling yourself, and then be able to shift that into some life-affirming ways that you can talk to yourself with care, compassion, and love.
in a few moments, we're going to start taking your questions. So please think of your questions. I want to acknowledge our dear friend Sharon down in La Jolla. And I've noticed several of you have said, I was busy with Mother's Day, just got back, missed part of the webinar. So I want to let you all know that if you've missed part of this webinar, you haven't seen some of the previous webinars, no need to fear. Olivier is here. And Olivier is going to send out an email, and we're going to send it out. Actually, we'll co-create it together. We're going to send an email to all of you that's going to give you the link that will get you into the previous webinars, and is also going to give you access to how we are, all these videos and all this project that we've been working on. So please keep your eyes open for some very important emails that'll be coming your way this week.
So yes, it should be up and ready by Wednesday, hopefully. I'm finishing creating the pages for you to access everything, and there's a membership area that you will be able to access to, and there's coaching that will be ongoing for those who want to go deeper with us, and we also building community, and I think this is probably the most important and exciting thing, to be able to practice and communicate in this way with people that are excited and willing and wanting to be part of this way, this new way of being, of communicating, of relating to each other.
I was just going to say is a lot of people have come to the community and they found their match.
Yeah.
So if you're single and you're like, wow, I'm not in a relationship, I don't know if this can work, again, it's like Scott's an amazing matchmaker. And there's just so much love in our community that we're just like magnets. There's just so many people that want to come into the hub of the Love Coach Academy, and we want to keep building this thing.
You know, what happened was I got into the point where I had more clients than I could manage. And so I thought, well, I'll train a few people with kind of my special tips and tools. And the very first Love Coach retreat, I thought it would be 3 or 4 people, and we ended up with 22 people. People flew in from Florida, Georgia, and we realized, wow, okay, and the Love Coach Academy was born almost 3 years ago. And so then we started doing retreats and training other coaches. And what's happened is this amazing worldwide community is emerging. And then we realized, okay, we've got to really take this thing online. And so we're really excited about what we're building, and we're imagining that there's going to be all sorts of support groups. For those of you dealing with addiction issues, there'll be an addiction support group. Yeah. For those of you who really want to practice the tools of how to talk to your children, we're going to create that. Yeah. So there's a lot going on, yeah. And we're building and we're shooting videos as fast as we can and creating webinars. We're also going to be bringing in a lot of amazing coaches and teachers. Over the last several years, I've collaborated with about 20 different teachers all over the world, and we're going to bring our favorite teachers into your living room to share their best knowledge and wisdom and information with you. So we're excited about that. And now I think we're about ready for some of the questions that you have been asking. And I remember there was a great question that I wanted to get back to, and I'm going to see if I can find it. Yes. from Helen. Are there relationships where the partners, despite loving each other, should separate because they're so different on the base of Jungian personality types that they're better off apart? Can these tools surmount all differences? Great question. I'll kind of say a few things, and then Emily and Katrina, let us know if you want to say something too. Often, the couples or families that come to me, couples, are on the edge. You know, there's been a break in trust. There's been infidelity. They've stopped sleeping together. They've stopped communicating. And yet there's reasons that hold them together, maybe children, they have children together, or they really do great in the bedroom, but they just can't talk, or they're great at communication, but they don't do well in the bedroom. It's pretty common. And what we do is we take people through a 12-step relationship inventory to really look at all the different parts of the relationship. How do you do as friends? How do you do as best friends? How do you do as lovers, roommates, co-parents, communication, finances, supporting each other's spiritual growth, supporting each other professionally, and so on and so forth. And this relationship inventory really helps people to get clear. Last weekend I did 2 relationship inventories. One was for a couple, and when they went through it after the relationship inventory, they realized, oh my God, we have a great relationship. There's just this one problem area. And she thought that she had to leave a marriage and 2 kids because there's one area that really was hard. And no, they've got a great relationship. They just need to work on that area, which is what we're now working on. The other couple, when they went through the relationship inventory, they realized that there just was too much difference and that they wanted to hold on to the 2 pieces that really worked, but that living together really wasn't the best bet. It was time to maintain the friendship and maintain strong co-parenting, but to live separately. So it's not black and white, Helen. Everybody's different, but we do have a very refined process that can help people to determine where they really stand. So that's kind of my answer, and I'll Emily, you want to add anything, or Katrina?
So in the relationship inventory, we build a Likert scale based in all those different sub-ways that we relate. And one of the questions is, what is your willingness to basically up-level this part of your relationship? And that's a really beautiful question. And we create enough honesty or safety so that the people can be honest. And that's really telling, because it comes back to when we looked at the 7 adjustments, is how willing are you able to grow to make this part of your relationship better? And so some people are like, I don't have, the willingness is 1, 1 from 10, 1. And so that says a lot. And we, through curiosity, what is it about you that feels maybe scared that you don't want to build this area? What's going on? So
what would you need?
Need to be able to build this? So again, it's not black or white. There's so much to explore within the different ways of relating.
Katrina, is there anything you'd like to add?
I would. I mean, you guys covered so much of it so beautifully. The only thing I could think to add is that, sometimes you do this inventory and you do come to this point of clarity, like, being together is just not fitting right. But then when you can do that in a conscious way, you can look at how do we choose to shift the relationship while honoring the love that we've shared. And so rather than going unconscious and just banging heads until you bang apart, this allows you to go consciously and to recognize oh, I really love you, and the relationship's it's not a match. So now how can we honor the love that's here and shift it so that each of us are able to really pursue what is a good match in our lives. So I wanted to add that piece. I also noticed there was a question that I really liked a while ago. There was someone who was asking how they would get coaching with us. And so the first thing I wanted to say actually is if you've gotten value out of these webinars, it's really lit something up for you. You've had an aha moment. You're already noticing how much it can inspire you to take your relationship to the next level. please pass that gift on. You know, pass it on to friends and family. We want this to get out to people. We really want to share this. So I know Olivier can let you know how you can make sure that your friends and family also get access to our webinars.
I noticed that.
All of a sudden you went silent, Scott.
Oh, there she is. She's back.
Oh, okay, yeah, your web connection, you went silent for a moment. So another piece about coaching, you know, of course, along with our online program, we're going to have webinars and teleseminars, which are live online coaching in groups. So that's one opportunity to get coaching is if you're wanting to have that experience. If you're looking for one-on-one coaching with one of us, or sometimes, you know, Scott and Emily will work together, which creates a really nice masculine-feminine balance. You can just email us at info@lovecoachacademy.com and just put in a request for coaching. If there's someone you want to work with, let us know that. We'll make sure that you get that information so that you could begin that. I feel like there was something else, but I'm not remembering, so we'll continue on.
That's a beautiful segue into Adrian's question about the value of practice. And again, when we were first starting with all of this, we had practice groups locally that I led and that Katrina led and that Emily led. Emily, I own a beautiful home. Emily and two other women are in the house next door, and the six of us are constantly practicing together. So practice is powerful. Now we recognize, gosh, there are people from Nebraska, and Adrian is in Oregon, and we've got people in San Diego, and Tia in Ventura, and Paul in Colorado, and Maggie in England. How do you all practice together? Ta-da!
That's why we're creating the Love Coach Academy.
That's right, and that's why we are doing this amazing online site where you're going to be able to practice with each other. And, you know, maybe on Wednesday night, just making up a thing, you'll see that, oh, Katrina's going to lead a practice group on parenting. Wow, on Friday night, Emily's going to lead a practice group of how to deal with addiction issues and how to use this. Wow, next Tuesday, Scott's all about boundaries with compassion. So we're going to start practice groups based on your input, based on what you want to practice, who you want to practice with, what you want to learn. And we're really excited because, again, that's the beauty that instead of you having to get in the car, find a local practice group, drive there from your own home, you're going to be able to call in or even webcast in and practice with people all over the world. It's going to be really exciting.
Yay.
So, do we have any other questions? It's a quiet group tonight.
Please come on in. If you have any questions about our program that we've developed or anything that inspired you, or
Adrian writes, also, aside from living these tools, what kind of practice might you prescribe, if any, to help cultivate emotional intelligence? I'll tackle that and then love to hear from you. The two key words for emotional intelligence are self-reflection. Self-reflect. When you get triggered, what triggered you? Journal. What are the things, how could I have responded to the situation with more love and more compassion? How could I have understood the other? One of the practice sheets that we're going to give to you is called the Challenging Situation Worksheet. And it's a beautiful worksheet that when you get triggered, when you get into an argument or a fight, take a time out. I'm going to teach you how to take connected timeouts and then go in and answer these questions. What am I telling myself? What are the judgments and projections going on in my head? What am I really feeling? What are the real emotions going on for me? What are my needs in this situation? What needs and values are driving me? And then the best question of all, what's going on for the other person? What's that person that I was fighting with or making wrong or arguing with? What are they telling themselves? What are they feeling? What are they needing? And when we do those simple things, and we're going to guide you of how to do that, that cultivates emotional intelligence, because you can only answer those questions by being in the forebrain, in the empathy center of the brain, where you're seeing the big picture, you're seeing from the observer point of view. When we're fighting, we're in the reptile brain. We only know fight, flight, or freeze. We're in reaction. But when we expand out and we go to the frontal lobe,
Mm.
what am I telling myself? What's really going on? What's going on for the other person? And we're in empathy. It's a completely different experience. So that's one way that we're going to support you to cultivate emotional intelligence.
Mm. I think the biggest one for me is whenever there's an upset or a trigger or something that's going on with me or within the situation with another person is, where is my personal responsibility in creating this? What can I look at of how I've attributed to creating the consequence of this issue? Those are a couple questions that are huge up in my game, is because really we can only change ourselves in the end. We can try to do it the other way, but it just ends up coming out in suffering. So we want to be able to see, like, wow, how can I really look at this situation as a gift? That is a huge shift that basically everything in your life that's going on right now, and I really want you to hear me, everything that's going on is here to help you. And if you shift to that reality, miracles happen.
Oh, beautiful, Emily. Yeah,
couple-
I thought I might just add that self-care, this value that especially Emily is really teaching us self-care, from doormat to self-care, right? So Adrian, I wanted to say that any form of self-care that resonates for you, that just builds your self-awareness, and that could be so many things. It could be poetry, it could be meditation, dancing. There's all kinds of forms of self-care that enhance your self-reflection, and all of those are just going to add value to the tools that we have here. I see, Janelle, you have a question about our costs and fees, so definitely stay tuned for our email that's coming in on Wednesday. That'll have all that information. And
I am going to mention one thing. We just recently decided that for a very short period of time, the people that come on board, the people who have committed to coming to our webinars, we're going to give them a very unique and special offer. And I think it's only going to last for a few days. So you want to really check your email. We're kind of figuring out what it's going to be, but it's going to be pretty special. So check that out. Art has a great question. What do you do when you need to relate with someone who's not exhibiting emotional intelligence? How do you ask them to be more emotionally intelligent? That's a great question. Can you be more emotionally intelligent? I've got it together, and you clearly don't.
But not so connecting.
Can we do a role play?
Sure.
So, are you willing to play someone that I'm kind of in frustration with about that?
Sure.
Okay. So this is a role play. This isn't real life. I'm just going to make something up. So I really want to understand you more fully, and I'd love to just reflect back my understanding of what you've shared. And I hear that sometimes you think I'm really mean, and sometimes you feel scared and think that I'm angry and kind of a jerk. Those are some of the words you use. You think I act like an idiot sometimes, and I'm just imagining that that's frustrating for you because you want to have harmony and peacefulness and a quality of respect in your life.
You're damn right I want respect.
Yeah, so respect is really important to you.
Yeah, it's important to me. And when you're just clearly in that place of being a jerk, it's just it just doesn't work for me.
God, it must be really frustrating, huh?
Yeah, it's very frustrating. Yeah.
What else would you like me to know?
I'd like you to know that when you came to the office late, that just doesn't work for me.
So yeah, you really want efficiency and reliability.
Yeah, damn right I want reliability. I want people to show up on time. I've got a business to run here.
Right, I really hear that. And so you want more reliability, and you get angry, you get upset.
Yeah, I get angry. I mean, this is on my dollar.
That's right. Thank you. I'm really learning a lot, and I'm feeling humbled, and I really wanted to understand you. So efficiency, reliability, responsibility is really important to you.
Right. So is that something you're going to do now that you know that?
I really am going to do, absolutely. I want to commit to doing my best because I also I also really want to raise my game to the values of reliability, responsibility. So thank you
Mm.
for pointing in a direction that's going to make me a better man and a better employee.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. And I just want to ask, can I ask a question?
Shh.
Just want to check in.
Okay.
Are you feeling more heard? Are you feeling more connected?
Yeah, actually, I'm noticing I'm starting to calm down a little bit.
Is there
Yeah.
anything I could do to help you really trust that I'm understanding you more fully?
I just need to be able to trust more,
Right.
that people are going to show up when they do.
Got it. Got it.
That's what I need.
I want to really meet that level of trust.
Mm.
And if
Okay.
there's anything I can do to uh, to help you feel more heard and to be more clear, just let me know, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Now, what I did was I just kept bringing it back to myself and honoring whatever was alive for her. And I didn't know where she was going to go in the role play. So, but notice that I just kept reflecting back what was important to her, what was reflecting back. Now, I then asked, did you like what I did? And because she did the role play that she was the boss and I was the employee, I couldn't go too much into it. But what I might have gone into if it was a little bit more of an equal playing field, what I could have said is, I also really enjoy being heard. So if you enjoyed hearing me reflect back, just want you to know that I also enjoy being heard that way. And so by modeling it and then pointing out to her and checking in to see if she liked it, then I could have gone into, that's also something that I like, which is inviting what I like, not from any kind of a place of a, you should do this, but this is something that I like.
Right.
And kind of after modeling it for her.
You see, what he was doing is building my empathy well up. So he was doing that through a lot of empathy, through reflecting what's important to me. And so as you notice, it took me a while, but I was pretty much in reaction still, but it took me a while until I could calm down.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you can see when someone's full enough, then you can say questions like, I really enjoy being heard. Would you be willing to let me know what you heard or what's important to me? But a lot of times we want that before someone's well or empathy well is full enough, and they just don't have the ability to give it.
You know what? We're at 7:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a little note. There's something that I really like saying is that I like to say, I enjoy hearing your feelings and your desire.
Yeah.
Sometimes people, they go into strategies because they're unsure if they can express their feelings or express their desires. So sometimes it comes out as strategy. I'm like, I'm hearing the strategy, but I really want to hear your feelings and your desire because that's something I can connect with. So that's a piece I love.
That's a good one. Thank you.
Olivier is going to be our master teacher soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're all learning from each other. That's what's so great about this community, is that it's not like Scott's just the master or Katrina's just the master or I am. It's like I'm humbled every day by these tools. I'm a student of life with these tools. It's like we're constantly learning and growing and expanding.
She's taught me so much about self-care because I have a tendency to kind of want to be the rescuer or the giver, and I can overgive. I can go even codependent. And she is so beautifully helping say, hey, I can take care of myself. You don't need to always keep asking me. I'll let you know if I need something. And then watching when there's a difference between us and a trigger starts, how she'll take care of herself. She'll give me reassurance. She'll take care of herself, and then we'll come back and connect with that curiosity. So thank you. I'm learning so much from you. It's humbling. I've got a kind of a head start age-wise, and I'm like running as fast as I can to keep up with you because you're just teaching me so much. So thank you for that.
Thanks.
And thank you, Katrina. Yeah. Katrina, my beloved dear friend, who has taught me so much about devotion, loyalty, and also consideration, and also structure and order. Because I can, when we lead our retreats, I really, with Katrina by my side, I can go on and on and on with stories, and she say, Scott, it is now midnight, and people need to go to bed. No.
We still need to get to this teaching and that teaching and that teaching. There's so much that we have to offer, and it's challenging for us, honestly. In these webinars, it's been 4.5 hours of material, and we're just bubbling over with how much we want to share. So it's such an honor, privilege, blessing to be working with you, Scott and Emily and Olivier and Paul and Anne and Lori and this really cool team that is using these tools. The creativity that's been flowing to create these videos is just astounding in a way. Sometimes a piece comes through and we're like, wow, we just did that. So just really excited about what we have to share. I know we're going to have kind of a trailer for that in that upcoming email happening on Wednesday that you'll be receiving, so you'll be able to get all those details. And I'm just reminded we've given you such a gift, so many gems. Please watch the webinars over and over to really harvest those gems, share them with your friends, have discussions with your friends so you can look at how to apply them. There's definitely more to come, and there's this just beautiful wisdom that if you want something that you've never had before, then you need to take actions that you've never done before. And so we hope that we've inspired you to take those actions that are just going to reap rewards that are beyond anything you could imagine at this point, but certainly things that are going to have your heart beaming. I think like you've seen us beaming in this webinar, wanting to share that with you.
Thank you, Katrina. I love you so much, and there's going to be a lot of Katrina available for all you Katrina fans out there.
Yeah.
So a lot of Katrina available in these videos that we're shooting, the live coaching calls we're going to be doing, and future webinars.
And chances to actually meet us in person at retreats and get needs met, more intimacy, one-on-one, So we are going to be taking things online, but we're also going to be going out and doing immersive retreats.
We've got
we'll be in something special.
We're going to be in New Zealand at the end of this month, and then in Byron Bay, Australia in early June. Then we come back home, and then July 17th to 20th, we've got a big retreat in the San Francisco Bay Area coming up. So those are some dates for all of you to think about. And I want to say thank you to our partner Olivier, who makes it all happen. Thank you very much. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to us.
It's actually exciting to be different places. For the first webinar, I was in Long Beach, second one Ventura, and now San Diego, and people are like calling in from everywhere, so it's really fun.
We're having a lot of fun, and keep your eye open. I guess we're going to actually, there'll be an email going out tomorrow that'll be important, that's got some important information for you. And we look forward to partnering with you. Some of you are affiliate partners. If you're not an affiliate partner, at least check it out. It's a great opportunity. So check out affiliate partnership with us. Join our online program, and we look forward to growing this beautiful, beautiful community with you.
And this is the last of our webinars. So again, it's just, this is really a call to action for all of you out there that if you want to jump on board and keep being with us and learning and growing, you're going to have to please just check out your inbox in a few days. And this is all we have time for. I'm sad personally, but we're up, and this is all that we can offer. We've given you all that we can in our short period of time, and if you want more, which I'm hoping that you're saying yes to, then check out your inbox in just a couple days.
And thank you all. Thank you very much. And Teresa is reminding us to talk about the Ecstatic Now Festival happening June 12th to 14th. We're going to be two of the headlining teachers and coaches, and a lot of amazing people coming up in Pinecrest, California, near Yosemite.
Go to www.ecstaticnow.com.
And it is going to be quite an ecstatic festival that we're looking forward to
Thank you, Maggie.
teaching at. Yeah.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, Maggie in England, David, Sharon Hinckley in La Jolla, Art in San Diego. There's like a lot of people, and we've got to be careful because for every person that I mentioned, there's going to be 10 or 15 people that I don't. So I want to say thank you to everybody for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in the various ways we're creating community. God bless you. Happy Mother's Day. Have a beautiful evening. Good night.